Good afternoon from Bali, everyone. It's Neva Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I wanted to do my second video about diversity and inclusion. And today, I wanted to start with this quotation, which says, "Inclusion is about making sure everyone feels welcome and valued, regardless of their background. Welcome and valued, regardless of their background." And I find this so useful for us to understand, whether personally or professionally. I do know that I've seen and met people who our minds might think that, oh, this person doesn't really belong to this family because they're adopted. So I've heard of people talking this way. This is personal. And then we think about the professional. Well, did you start with this company from when it began, or did you start later? And we've got a lot of judgment about when someone joins. Now, why not make sure that everyone feels welcome and valued? So we can even look at this in terms of education, that when someone is educated in a particular area, oftentimes the question comes, well, but how many years have you done this? And how many other projects have you done? Anything to fragment, I'm going to say, the value of an individual. So a person may have done many projects and they may have that on their resume, and yet they might feel not very welcomed in a particular place because that person has too much, they think too much, they've done too much. So that could be limiting in terms of an observer's eye. So a hiring manager might think that, oh, you know what, that's a bit too much. I don't think that this entry-level position would be useful for this person or for the company. Maybe the company wouldn't find this person too useful because they'll have so much training from so many different things. And yet, this is inclusion. This is, again, about this making sure that everyone feels welcome and valued. And so again, education itself, we can see that in educational institutions. It's, oh, PhD, super high value. Bachelor's, not so much. And this is interesting too, because maybe someone with a bachelor's has the understanding of someone who might be a PhD because they've done a lot of self-study. Perhaps they've done a lot more reading. Perhaps they've done writing. Perhaps they have had some experiences that we can all benefit from. And this is, again, interesting for us to look at in terms of our personal and our professional settings, wherever we are. Even, I remember when I went through the naturopathic college, to become a naturopathic doctor, when I started, only 1 year at a time, and after a little while, I think it was actually after the second year that I was there, we suddenly had 2 intake groups. So the one was in September and one was in January, and I believe that's continuing. And that really separated people. I was, okay, but which intake group were you in? Did you start in January or September? So again, this whole idea of when we're exactly the same, I can value you, that you started at the same time. And can you imagine what kind of things do we do? And what we did was, I do know that the entire college would be, yeah, the January group is like this and the September group is like this. And it's true. Different energies connect in different groups and they can produce something different. But to value it is a big step. And if right from the educational level we're devaluing a group and increasing the value of another group, important for us to know. But we do this in families too. We do this in social settings. We will talk about this person is included because they've always been part of this community, but this is a new person and I don't really include them. And people will do this in various ways. I've certainly seen this in Bali and I've seen it in Canada. And so I know that this is a general theme that happens in the world, and unless we're mindfully attentive, we're not as inclusive as we could be, and we do not certainly value the same. And we do best with beginning with ourselves. Do I include all? Do I value all? Do I have judgments or biases? This is the thing that I would like us to reflect on for ourselves to see what we can do. It's not to point fingers at others and say, oh yeah, they always talk this way, or my spouse always is this way, or my child is like this, or am I like this? Start there. Then this next quotation is by Bono, and it says, "To be one, to be united is a great thing, but to respect the right to be different is maybe even greater." Respect the right to be different. Now, what could be that difference? I thought I would use the example of our body. that, if the hand suddenly started speaking to the heart and saying, you move like this and that's not useful, you've got to be able to reach for things, and the heart cannot do that. So this respecting the right to be different within our own bodies, we can do it. Can we do it in the body of people around us? That this is the slightly different way this person does this. And in terms of environments that are including more groups of people, different types of skills, we do it in terms of in writing. So HR might say, I have to make sure that this sort of disability, altered abilities, any term that we might use, but we know this is a little bit different than the rest, is included here. But do we value the same? And do we actually recognize that respecting this right to be different, the right to be different, because again, even if someone can't see it on the outside, someone might be going through depression. And is it okay? Yeah, because sometimes some people can see it on the outside. A person cries at work, and could we respect the right to be different? Another person is held in, and it's all very well contained. Can we just respect that this is how a person expresses their emotions? Yes, when it starts influencing how the work is done, it's a little bit different. Still, we can have compassion, and we can understand that there's just a different expression through this form versus that form, just like the hand versus the heart. Different ways and different things that each can do, and each one does something just a little better than the other, yet working together. This is to be one, to be united. And today I thought I'd also plant the seed of this quotation to end with. I believe this is my last quotation. No. There is one other quotation I want to say before the last quotation. This one is by Thomas Paine. And it says, give to every other human being every right that you claim for yourself. Give to every other human being every right that you claim for yourself. And this is very interesting, because if I have a bias towards what I believe is my group, and I want my group to have these rights, do I take away those rights from another group because they've had them for so long, now it's my turn? Or do I just recognize that everyone deserves the same right? I believe that everyone deserves the same right, and again, begin with ourselves. And I wanted to make sure I talk about this one more quotation by Andrea Berica, or Berica. I will spell that out properly under this video. As you know, I'll put all the quotations under this video. But this is for us to recognize how important this is in our professional lives. This is something I thought would be great for us all to reflect and contemplate on, and I hope that you do after this video. This says, what's often ignored is that diversity is not only a pipeline or recruiting issue. It's an issue of making people who do make it through the pipeline want to stay at your company. That's big. Does that make sense? I'll read that one more time. What's often ignored is that diversity is not only a pipeline or recruiting issue. It's an issue of making the people who do make it through the pipeline want to stay at your company. And I have seen this with many clients that I've worked with in Canada that talk about, oh yeah, well, we have to hire this nationality because we have to have this many percent of minorities. And I can see some people roll their eyes. And sometimes it's even a minority person who is saying that, oh yeah, we have to hire more, and they don't have the education that we would want, but we have to have this many. How do you know they don't have the education? It's just automatic bias that came in there. And then when a person comes in because you needed to hire X number of women, are they treated with value and respect, for example? So here's another recruiting issue. We have to have more women, more men, whatever. We start looking at numbers and we start putting that in. Is there a bias for the people who are already working in the company about, boy, that person is so not good for this company. This isn't work that they could do. And so that already weakens the strength of the new person joining. Or does the new person just not feel welcome because it's like, wow, you're the first woman that's in this office and you're pretty lucky, and isn't that nice? And it's because we needed this number. So all of that talk is going on, those thoughts are going on, and then how does that person feel? Initially might be really great feeling from maybe the manager is like, we're so happy to have a woman here, and maybe they really are. And then slowly, slowly, there's that little bit of feeling of, I don't think they're the same. And we do this consciously and not consciously. And again, we do this right from a family level, from small group levels to companies and organizations. Today, I would love for us all to reflect on these ideas and begin with ourselves to see how inclusive are we and how welcoming are we for diversity. I wish you a fantastic day ahead contemplating those thoughts, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day or night, everyone.